We good. What's up, man? To the people, man, I want to introduce my brother Sharif. You know what I mean? AKA Brother Reef. He's a very prolific advocate of the black movement for the people. Y'all need to hear my brother speak. This is his introduction to the podcast. Me and him been through the rain, the mud, everything. So, yeah, talk, bro.
Hey
Right?
man, black power, black power, black power, black power, black power. I want to thank my brother King Sankofa for inviting me to this powerful podcast, Cast the First Stone, the launch off of a powerful series bringing, not just information to the people, but inspiration, real talk, raw, unfiltered, uncut, of black men still fighting in the hells of America, trying to let our voices be heard and raised, where we've been silenced, where the black man, the real, are not being heard. You know what I mean? The real don't have platforms that they can come on and really talk about real stuff that affects black men in urban communities. So, I'm honored to be on Cast the First Stone, with my big bro, King Sankofa. Yes, sir.
Hell, it was crazy, right? I've been watching certain platforms, and I see the brothers trying to do this right. And I'm not diminishing what they doing because all of us need to try to stick together instead of trying to diminish each other. You feel what I'm saying? So my whole thing is like, okay, bro, you speaking on that topic, but have you ever been in a situation to when you had to put your chest against everybody? You feel what I'm saying? To the point where your life is on the line, like especially in prison. We was in prison. You know what I mean? Like we done time. Me and my brother, we been rocking. We been owning. Like so, every story y'all hear about, majority of my prison stories, like the height of my thing came from my brother. You feel what I'm saying? So, like now I want to ask my brother, like, what do you think about what's going on with our people, man? What's going on, man? Like I'm trying to figure it out. I'm very analytical. I'm trying to understand like how the Willie Lynch thing is still so ingrained in us. Man.
That's a great question. I see one of the biggest things that's really hurting us is ignorance. It's our ignorance as a people. There's an old saying that if you want to hide something from the people or a black person or a black man, put it in the book, right? And I looked at that, I'm like, damn, that's true, because I actually did a study on that with a group of young people that I had in my class. I had a rites of passage program, and I had some books laid out on the table, and I put money inside them for a week straight. You know what I mean? I went and checked back, the money still was there. Not one single, this among you people ages
That's
15 to
I'm
24.
laughing not in humorous wise. I'm laughing in the sense like, wow, that's just like it makes no sense. But pardon me, go ahead, bro.
Yeah, so not one of them picked up the book. The money still was in there.
What's the age brackets?
It was from 15 to 24, our youth. Not one of them picked up a book, right, to even explore what was in them. You know what I mean? And this is a paid program. And what was funny is that, they were arguing about when they get paid, you know. And I would say, so y'all so thinking about the money, y'all not even getting the money, and the money could be right there in front of y'all. You know what I
Right.
mean? And I want to open up one of the books, and they saw money in them. And then I drew their attention over there, and they start picking up some of the books. Like, oh snap, this got $10 and this got $5 in it, you know. But when I look deeper in history, it wasn't because, that they didn't want to pick up a book. For 300 years, in the country, it was, they outlawed literacy. It was against the law for black folks to read or write. And if they
Okay.
picked up a book, they would be killed. In most
Yeah.
cases, they could be lynched, they can be whooped, beating. There were severe consequences for picking up a book. So when you talked about like that Willie Lynch, some of those, teaching methods still exist today. And one of the biggest components of that was fear. It was to instill fear in us. And a lot of
Yeah.
that fear is in us today. And it's because of that fear, it restricts our will from us, practicing self-determination and doing for ourselves and for our people. So, that's what's really holding us back. And it's our ignorance that we're afraid, to be able to, you know, educate ourselves and for us to, pick up a book and learn and learn a different way. And there's so much misinformation and disinformation out here on the internet, social media. It ain't like the times in which we came up, which were not too long ago.
Uh,
But things has changed tremendously. You know.
so what's your advice or your outlook on trying to countermand that? Now you see that you had the money in there. Now you see that you had the books, you had the education. Because back then, in prison, like the old heads was bringing us them books. Like young brother read this when they recognized the young one that was like us, strength and strong. You know, like what is your advice down to counter? Now you know what the problem is, what the solution is to be like, okay, what can I do to convince this young brother he needs to pick up the young sister to pick up this book? Like,
So with today's youth, they more so like hands-on type of approach. They're not with to, too much talking. You know what I mean? You gotta lead by example. You know what I mean? And what they say, you gotta stand on business. You know what I mean? So you gotta show them, you know what I mean? You can't tell them, you gotta show them. You know what I mean? And through example, you know what I mean, they'll follow and they'll see. You know what I mean? They gotta see you in certain acts. They gotta see you, acting out, doing that what you're talking about. You know what I mean? And that's why a lot of I was into protesting a lot because that's direct action. They see me actually taking a stand, even if I take that stand first by myself. And we started off demonstrating that by blocking traffic, by getting in front of a moving car and stopping that car and telling that car he got to turn around. That was our demonstration to the community. Like, oh wow, he was courageous enough to get in front of that car in the street with a bull on and tell that car he got to go back around. He got to turn around. Somebody was shot and killed out here. You know what I mean? There's still blood on the ground. Y'all got to respect, you know what I mean, that life that was lost. That could have been your loved one. You know what I mean? So respectfully, you got to go back around, you know what I mean?
and they
Because,
turned around.
yeah, because this is still blood on this ground. And this ground is now safe because black blood has been spilt on this ground. And when we do that, the community be like, oh wow. And then I go on to raise the consciousness that when you want to stop something, you got to stop it by your hands. We could pray about it, we could march about it all. But if we don't take direct action to something, change ain't gonna come about unless we bring it about. And that has to come with direct action. That we gotta get out in front of that. You know what I mean? We gotta stop it. We can stop with our hands, we can speak out against it with our tongues, but more importantly, we gotta really physically get in front of stuff, you know what I mean, to bring about the changes. Youth can more gravitate towards that, you know what I mean? Because like, oh, he ain't just talking the talk, he actually walking the walk. Rather if it's dealing with the violence among our own people or dealing with police violence, the police shooting us out there. We take that same approach in dealing with the police. If they do something to our people, we're gonna come at them the same way. You know what I mean? And the youth, they kind of like that. You know what I mean? They more attracted to that. And that's why they be caught up in the street life because the street life is direct action. You know what I mean? People ain't talking to them. People really getting shot. People really getting hurt. You know what I mean? They
Well,
really in the midst of it and they really going through it.
they see it.
You know
You
what I
know,
mean? So,
like another question I have for you, like, when we was going through like what you saying about the youth, because we was them,
yeah.
and like we had an OG that we never seen stood on business. We weren't really respecting, So it's just history repeating itself. It's just that the lessons wasn't being brought down. So when we speaking earlier, you was speaking about how they took away the leadership, even though it was gang leadership. You
Hmm.
had some brothers who was conscious that really wasn't trying to be gang leaders. They just was pushed into a position, and they tried to be the best that they knew to be, considering their situation. So now, what's going on? My question is, what is your answer to trying to get the older brothers back out and trying to, get this leadership back? Because a lot of these young brothers and sisters ain't been raised by men. They've been raised by society men, and that's not men. We need some of our black men out here to try to help us out, because this is getting insane. They don't mind killing you in front of your child. You know what I mean? They don't even mind killing your child. You remember what happened in Texas with the little rapper guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it's so sad to what's going on, and coming from that environment, you know, like I just sit back knowing that, it's like, what can we do to try to at least reach them? At the least.
So, well, there's a saying that, a quote or phrase that I pick up from the great late Frederick Douglass, like it speaks to like what you saying in terms of trying to deal with the elders or men our age. He said it's easier to, um, he said it's easier. What do you? Let me paraphrase because I can't. It's slipping
Yeah.
my mind. He said it's
Yeah, you're
easier to, to build up, young men than it is to repair broken men.
right.
So meaning like it's easier to raise the consciousness of the youth than trying to get old, older men who experience a lot of stuff to try to get them to come back.
I see what you're
After
saying.
them being gone. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So if our energy can go into the youth and showing them a new direction, showing them a different way, I think we'll get better results. You know what I mean? Because some of these guys, man, you know, um, rightfully so, they have lost touch. You know what I mean? And honestly, they don't have love for the youth no more, and that's
Yeah.
part of why they're the way that they are. You know what I mean?
I believe that, the older guys now that's from our generation, because we the older guys now, so the other ones is the like OGs, but we are the older ones now. We are the OGs on top of the G's that they saying is G's, because we about to be 50. You feel what I'm saying? So when I look back, I think that the envy come from they still want to be young. They haven't grasped to the fact that they done got older. Instead of
Mm-hmm.
being happy and appreciating that they got older, they want to hate the young ones that's still young because
Mm.
they still want to be young. So when I analyze that, I'm like, wow, like why y'all trying to teach these young brothers this nonsense? You know what I mean? Like, my whole first book was how to keep your kids away from gangs at the age of 24.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So can't nobody really like explain to me in a situation to at the age of 24 that I wrote a book in the height of my gang life called How to Keep Your Kids Away from Gangs. I was never envious of youth. I appreciated youth and I learned from youth, but I wanted to be older. I'm okay with getting older. I'm okay with that. Who wants to die at 21? Who wants to die at 19? That's why a lot of stuff I did was to make sure I lived. Because we in the jungle. It's a jungle we may try to flip. We was put in situations to where our own kind will be your worst enemy. You only see them people when you go in the courtrooms and stuff like that. Outside of that, they not living in our society. They not living in our habitat. It's just more so what you have to do to survive. So I don't really get too mad or too upset. All I'm trying to do is try to catch one of the brothers, a lot of them, not one, but and try to reach out to them. I try to catch them and try to grab that because they still have love, but they just don't know how to love. In their heart, you want to grab them before that love turns into hate. You start because the only people that's doing stuff to you is the people that look like you.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like we can say the white man doing this, that, and the third, and all this stuff, but the people that you actually see, like you said, is hands on. They are more hands on. So when you see a person that's your same complexion, same thing, all that live right down the street from you, trying to really kill you, you're not focused on the person who, if you kill him, the person who's going to give you time is the person that you're saying is my enemy, who set all this up from the beginning. You don't see that part. So my question to you is, how do we get to see them to see each other as brothers and sisters? You know what I mean? That's my next question.
Yeah. So our recognizing our fight, right? We are number one, we got to see that, we engaged in a war, right? We engaged in a battle. And that battle is for hearts and minds. We're fighting for the hearts and minds of our people, you know what I mean? And our youth in particular, you know what I mean? And in that battle and in that fight, we're exposing the contradictions, you know what I mean? And raising the
Yeah.
consciousness, you know what I mean? We gotta show them You know what I mean? That there is a plan and a plan for their destruction. And things that what we see is things that we're seeing in things that we don't see. You know what I mean? Some unseen things. And we got to be able to expose that. You know what I
Look,
mean? And show them that, you know what I mean, that our fight, we're trying to offset the setup. You know what I mean? The plan. And get them to see that, what that setup is. To get them to see, you know what I mean, how this design plan of their destruction works, and also raise their consciousness, you know, of if and those of our age, if we don't understand racism and white supremacy, then everything else is going to confuse us. You know what I mean? Our situation is going to confuse us. They'll have and believe that we are our worst enemy, and they'll have and believe us as the victims, and making us feel responsible for our own victimization. You know what I mean? And so when we can show that, we may not see them physically in our community, like the Dr. Carter G. Woodson said that, you know, that he don't he don't have to tell you to go, you know what I mean, out the back door. You know what I mean? And he don't have to put a gun to your head, right? But if he put the misinformation in your head, if he the one who taught you what you know, you only can go as far as what you know. You're gonna go as far as what you know. He the one that educated, rather if it's through his educational system, rather it's from his music that you listen to, demonic music, rather if it's from his television, rather it's from the movies or the society, the community in itself. You know what I mean? That you're going to do these things by default. You know what I mean? Because you've been programmed in a sense to do it. You know what I mean? And you've been miseducated. You know what I mean? So when we able to raise these contradictions, you're able to show them how these things happen, right? You be like, boom, all right, the white man ain't in your community, but his crack is in your community. The white man ain't in your community, but his alcohol is in your community, right? In fact, that like Malcolm said, every time you crack the bottle on that whiskey, on that liquor, alcohol, that's a government seal you're breaking. Every time you crack the seal on that Newport, that's a government seal that you're breaking. They don't have to be there physically, you know what I mean? But they have things in place for you, you know what I
bring
mean?
it down.
To it's like traps. That's why they call the hood, you know what I mean? And trapping, they call it a trap, you know what I mean? Because they actually have these things set up for you, you know what I
It's
mean?
so crazy, right? Like it's so crazy the monikers and the things that we use in representation of the hood, right? Was premeditated from them, and we took it and tried to make it cool,
Mhm.
and we try to act like we're smarter by being dumber. I always had an issue with like when you first, if y'all don't know my brother, he gave me the first Khalid Muhammad tape, right? Because prior to that, I wasn't conscious. I wasn't. Honestly, I was not conscious. I didn't know nothing about us being, all united. I didn't even I never had no interaction with white people. None of that. I never had no, interactions. You know what I mean? So I just as I was coming through the streets, only people that was really, like I just said, was really trying to hurt me was people in my direct environment. So a person who don't know that outside of this environment, that this drugs that was put here from people who are, trying to systematically bring you down. This alcohol store right here, this liquor store is meant to bring you down. A lot of us don't know that, so what happens is a person that don't know that, then they go into the criminal system and realize damn, I was really set up to fail.
Yeah.
I'm coming into a situation already set up to fail. I'm not brought into a situation to where it's like we're gonna help this community build this person up and be better. Everything that they have going on in the hood is to keep you down.
Hmm.
So when we start realizing that, and then once you gave me the tape, when he was in NYU, and I always revert back to that. People don't understand why I keep bringing it up, because when I revert back to that, I'm like, damn, because of the conversation he had speaking in front of the youth and talking to them and telling them about actual history and not hiding it from nobody. And I pay attention to, because I love my history now, knowing, because even when I was young, you want to find out who you is, Like I had no really identity of who I was. You know, I really didn't. Even at that age, I really didn't have no identity. But my brother gave me the tape. So from that tape, like, oh, so it went from that tape to when I went to Raw Way. So when we went to Raw Way, I ended up with the books. The OGs was giving me the books. You know, that's why I read the first worst book ever. It was called 1000 Lynching. You know what I mean? Like, seriously. And from that book, it was like, oh, that's how parades was created. They used to hang us, burn us, and everything, and give. They brought the whole town out to watch a black person get hung, and they take body parts and give it to their kids.
Souvenirs.
Souvenirs, you know what I mean? And this right now, we march in parades, we had all jolly and stuff like that, but parades was created in America from that. You know, so I just be like, I had to really sit back and really think like, why do I hate my own kind? I have to protect myself, number one, because my life means a lot, you know, because I learned from Malcolm too that, you know, like the cause will let you down because they so gone. You know, our people is so gone. Malcolm said that when he told a reporter, like, yo, I'm talking to you right now, and I'm saying black power, I'm saying, you know, black unity, all this stuff. You can walk right around the corner and a black person say, I ain't with none of that. You know, I'm not with none of that. He said you could literally walk right around the corner right now while I'm standing on this corner, walk right here 10 feet away around this corner and run into another black person and find out what and I'm telling you what he's going to say. And the one thing that resonated with me, that's why Malcolm was so resonant to us because we was all struggled. You know, not saying the black people didn't struggle, but we was all not bowing down, basically. You know, so he said at one of his meetings, he was like, who in here willing to die for the cause? You know, and a bunch of people raised their hand on it. He said the first order of business is to kill the people who didn't raise their hand. And like it really caught me. It really caught me because I'm like, if you're not willing to sacrifice your life, your well-being, and you don't know what's gonna happen when you die. You know, if you're not willing to do that, then you're really like kind of like half stepping. They got rid of all our leaders. They got rid of all that, you know. And I just like, bro, for real, I just sit back. Like a lot of the stuff that you know you teach me, like my brother teaches me all the time. Like he be on me. So I just I pay attention and I'm very conscious of the fact that sometimes a different approach may be needed. A different approach, and people don't want that approach. People was mad at old boy, the brother, like come talking to us before he went to the police. You feel what I'm saying? He come talking to us because these young ones respect us. We around them all day. So if we want to help them, let us help them. No matter what we did, it is like we criminals, whatever, fine, we broke the law, whatever. But if we want to stop more criminals from being bred, then let us do that. But they don't want that.
That's right.
They don't want that. And I caught that. I caught it immediately like, why are you upset at him? Because he's trying to help people, the young ones, from being more criminal. You say you want criminal stops, but criminals pay your bills. If you're a prosecutor, you know what I mean? You can't be prosecuting nobody who ain't dead broke a crime.
They say crime pays. They tell you that.
Crime pays. You know what I mean? They just don't pay us.
Right. We do time. They do business.
They do business.
We
They
do
own business.
time. We do business.
It's so and it wants my thing be like these young ones, they're so smart. They're so smart, but they have an attention span of a 10-minute clip. If you want to talk to them, it's like they get bored after like 30 minutes. And it's like, hold up. Even at my job, I be walking around my job, and I'm like, yo, come here, man, let me holler at you, little bro. Like today, like one of the little brothers, he was talking about, because he was wearing his red flag in there, and I'm like, why was you wearing it? He was like, nah, I said, but why are you bringing that to your workplace where you got to feed your family at? That has no place in here. What are you doing? You know what I mean? What are you doing, bro? I said, listen, don't confuse loyalty with stupidity. Don't confuse being who you are makes you less than who you are if you want to do something else. That has nothing to do with that. You coming to work. This is your workplace. You don't want to run it. You don't know who in here. It's 200 workers in here. You come in here, you got your thing on. You may run into 5 people. Now you done got jumped or all kinds of nonsense that can spiral into if you just throw it a little bit more better and a little bit more ahead of the curve.
More strategic.
You know what I mean? More strategic. Stop going into situations thinking that you're above and everybody else because people are dying out here. This is what I'm telling them. This happened today with a young brother. I watched him for like 2 months. Every day he had his flag on. I don't say nothing. He told me like, damn, bro, why you ain't never tell me? I said, why should I tell you? I have to watch you. I want to see how you move and see how you think, see how you conduct yourself. Because number one, your first mistake was letting everybody know who you are and you don't know who you're around. You may not care, but you have to care. This is a whole different generation. It's a whole different generation. Y'all, you know what I mean? Like, it could shootout can happen right outside the job spot because they seen you with that on. They call it, yo, we got this guy up here, boom, boom, boom. You come out to work and now you dead. Don't you say, didn't you say you got kids? Like, come on, bro. It's different now. Back in the day, they'd catch you and you like, you know what's going on. It's different now. He got his, you got yours. They don't got theirs.
That's right.
They hiding theirs. You outnumbered. You being real. I'm not telling you not to be real. What I'm telling you to do is be smart about your realism. And they don't like, and he kind of like, oh, he didn't catch it. You know what I mean? So when he been trying to be around me now, cause he's like, oh, I'm like, bro, I really was on that. You know what I mean? So I'm not telling you to denounce it or not allow yourself to be who you are, but be smart. The reason why you came to work because you don't want to do that nonsense. So why would you bring that nonsense over here to where you're trying to chill? This is your workplace. This is where you pay your bills at. This is where your family can eat and stuff like that at. What are you doing? You know what I mean? And then I had my little brother, the one I told you about. I had him on the phone. So he was listening. He was like, oh, all right, big bro, boom. So my thing is always going to be about this youth. You know, I know you're tired. I know,
So
you know what
no,
I mean?
even with that, right, and you being able to do that, right, and you just being yourself, who you are, you know, not only did that took courage to do, but love.
Right,
And what's lacking among some older men our age, they don't have the love no more. You know what I
right,
mean, for our youth. And they'll allow them to make the same mistakes that we made.
right,
You know what I mean? And we continue to repeat this cycle over. So that's real love too. You know what I mean? To
right,
be able to pull them up. And like I said, that's how we bring about the change because what you did, expose the contradiction and raise his consciousness.
right,
Get him to see a different picture or a
right,
bigger picture. You know what I mean? Giving him a reality check. You know what I mean? That makes all the difference in the world. And it's things that just that simple can really bring about a change because that young man right there can be the next leader. Or
right,
that young man right there could have be the next killer
right.
to our
It go
community.
either way. It go either way.
You know what I'm saying? So the mere fact, the raising of his consciousness, this is how we're gonna bring about the change. You know what I mean?
I see it.
That
He
we
got
want
you.
to see. You know
He
what I mean?
really,
To be able to
he
speak and
really
have the
saying it's
courage
right.
and to take the
Uh,
time out your schedule, you working, minding your business. You could have kept it like that. And what happens is that's what's happening to people our age. They said, man, fuck that. I'm minding my business. These little
right.
niggas don't want to hear nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of really like, you know what? Let me say something. It be our approach.
Right. It's the approach.
Respect. Once you know how to give respect, it's gonna come back. You know what I mean? But if you
Right.
come in the negative, like, yo, man, why the fuck you
Right.
why you banging like what that flag about? You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? And
put
you
that
check
down
them,
there.
and then it go left.
Now he on guard. Now he don't want to hear nothing you gotta say.
Yeah. But it was the approach and the respect that you gave the young man and pulled his coattail.
Right.
Made all the
Right.
difference in the world. And now
Right.
I get them to listen to. And that's in
Right.
dealing with most of the youth. You know what I mean?
Right.
If we would respect them the same way that we want them to respect us, we could get more out of them. Know
Right.
what I mean? So
Stop
instead of
ruining
just
them,
like
man.
really, you
Stop
could have
treating
just
them
like
like they
you
young.
could have went on them. You know what I'm saying? You was really like on game time. You could have went on them like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was the approach, being able
He
to,
don't, he don't, he don't have any idea who he was talking to.
yeah,
Right now, even right now, he has no idea. But like you just said, you hit it on the nose. Like he really, once I broke it down to him, he like, oh, you right. You know what I mean? Because like you said, it's the approach. I'm gonna approach these young ones the way I wanted to be approached if I was their age.
Word.
I never forgot how I was back then. You know when we created Wild Ass Juvenile,
Yeah.
like we're not letting none of these old dudes come and approach us on nonsense. If you gonna come like an OG, respect us and stuff like that, we willing to listen. That's fine. But if you come here like yo, you my son, like you my little, we ain't on none of that.
Yeah. Word.
You got to show me, bro. We own that. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
And every little young brother that came in and we was snatching. Bro,
Mhm.
don't listen. If you come and your heart tell you he telling you nonsense, pay attention to that. That's why wild ass juvenile. It was wild ass juvenile
Word.
in adult prison
Before the games, no games.
before the games.
We created our
on
own.
Blood Creek on the East Coast. You know what I mean? Jersey anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Before all that. Word, we talk about 95, 96. What was 96, right? I think it's
Nah,
96.
that's 94, 95. Maybe a little bit of 96. Yeah,
I think it transcended to 96.
yeah, a
You
little
know?
bit. Yeah, a little bit of 96.
Yeah. Because you was already down there.
Yeah, yeah. When you came,
You was already,
95, right?
I came in 95.
Yeah, so yeah,
You know what I mean?
95 and
I came in
because I
95.
got shipped out in 96.
Yeah. Because they waved your ass up.
Yeah, shit, they weighed me up in 93. And then they sent me that.
Yo, so hold on. So you end up going to the bird and all that, and then they end up pushing you from the bird to wasn't it? I never knew how the hell you ended
Nah,
up in Youngsville.
nah. See, what happened was I already done came home from that. I came
Mm,
home from Epsom.
mm.
Already I escaped from the bird. I wasn't allowed to go back to the bird anyway.
Right.
So they sent me straight to Yardville.
Oh,
So I was in Yardville. I was in what's that shit? Not BMU. I keep that's down the bird. So I was in Yardville in reception for a minute.
oh, JRU.
Yeah, JRU. I was in JRU for a minute for
Yeah,
some months. They were trying to
yeah,
figure out they gonna let me go on grounds or not. Classification was BSing me because of my
yeah,
age. So
yeah.
they finally sent me.
Like what? 16, right?
Yeah,
17. Yeah. On your way to be 17, but you was 16, right?
yeah. So they finally sent me to population. I mean,
Yeah.
but then I still was on juvenile time. I was on my violation. I was going to
Back,
court.
back.
So then I maxed out. Then they sent me back to the county on the juvenile floor.
Mm.
Went back to the county on the juvenile
I
floor.
heard about that too. I heard about that. No BS. I heard about that. I heard that you was on the juvenile floor
Yeah,
in the county.
yeah. And
Yeah.
then so I end up getting a 10 with a 3.
That's
And then they
crazy.
sent me back to the Ville.
Then I come right behind you.
Yeah, I came back to the Ville. Yeah, because I had that parole violation.
Oh, that's crazy. I had
I
thought
was
that
home 30 days, man. When I came home from Epsom, I was home
so
30 days.
before the chase and all that, you was only home 30 days?
30 days. I just came home from Epsom.
Crazy.
Word is born. I went in and I called myself, that's why people, places, and things are important. Because I was like, I'm not stealing cars no more. And for
No
the
doubt.
entire 30 days, I wasn't stealing cars. It was that
Yeah.
one day I got into a stolen car and that shit turned into a
It
nightmare.
transformed your whole
Yeah, so
existence.
for 30 days, I really called it quits, know what I mean? But it's people, places, and things. You can't keep coming back, visiting the neighborhood or
Uh,
old friends. They still
uh,
into it. You
bro,
need new friends. You need new places and new people.
our situation is so mirrored. It's crazy.
Word.
I had to stop being around them guys.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I used to get out of jail and go right back to the block. And I call myself not going to do it again. How?
You know my
You doing the
mistake, bro. When
same
I came
thing.
home in '01, bro. When I came home in '01, bro. You know, I was supposed to go to my cousin Diane's house, and instead of like it was a bus that would take me from downtown. I came from Trenton, so when I came from Trenton and I was downtown, I could have took the bus straight to West Market Street. Instead of doing that, I caught a bus going straight to Springfield Avenue and hit Brenner. You feel what I'm saying? So I went to Brenner before I even went home.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So I ended up just doing 2.5 months. Everything, like you said, people, places, and things
yeah,
will dictate your actions and your
yeah.
future. You have to. That's why when I came home, I didn't even want you, bro. You know, I didn't even want to be in North.
Word, that's
You know,
right, yeah.
I was fighting like I couldn't wait to get out of there.
Yeah.
You know, but while I'm here, like let the energy be real. Let them see that, yeah, he here. But it was meant for me to do that.
Mm.
That was God thing. That was God thing. God was like, let them see that he's not shaking his fan. You know what I mean? He's not doing none of that. He's still here, but we need to get him out of here.
Mm.
But let y'all feel this energy. You know, if y'all real, y'all gonna love it. If y'all fake, y'all gonna hate it. You know, and he revealed all the hate that came after it. He revealed all the love that came after it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like that's that everything that happens in my life always been about revealing. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Truth from lies.
That's right.
You know what I mean? That's what's been going on with me. So, like, I'm about to be 50, bro.
Word.
Nobody ever would have thought Killer Rick would have made it to 50.
Shit. Me and you both. Like, him was pounding me out so many times, bro. And
They was counting you out even when you was even now that you on the cut, they really thought you was gonna be assassinated.
yeah,
like, bro, I was on the phone with one of the bros one day, right? I'm in where was that? I think I was in Polop. It was right when I got my time. And that's when you was at the height of, you know what I mean,
word,
what you was doing. And one of the brothers was like, yo, man, I'm telling you, man, they're gonna assassinate, bro, man. I'm telling you, they're gonna assassinate, bro, like they did Malcolm and
word,
all that. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like they're gonna assassinate them, bro. I'm like, man, I ain't doing nothing, bro. Like, bro, I'm telling you, bro,
word,
I was, I mean, bro, on the movement, like, bro, on it. I gave all my life, bro. Like, bro, on the movement.
yeah,
And I said, hold him down.
word, yeah,
hold him down.
word,
Let him know people was behind him. Let
word,
him know.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Let them people know people was behind this one right here.
word,
That's not gonna be marching.
yeah,
Like, hold my brother down, man.
yeah,
I'm telling you, bro was on the phone. He said, bro, they're gonna assassinate him
yeah,
because you was going.
yeah, yeah. And, but that's a sacrifice, you know what I mean? Like, if you don't live for something, you know what I mean? Better to live for something than die for nothing.
Wow.
Better die for a cause than be cause, you know what I'm saying?
Real.
And,
Right.
and what greater cause to give your life for the struggle, you know what I mean? You're
Right.
fighting for freedom and fighting for justice. Your
Right.
people, you know what I mean? We all gonna go where I said, shit, that's glory, you know what I mean? I go out
That's
like
some
my
glory.
ancestors, you know what I
That's some
mean?
glory.
Shit, that's the line of divine.
You know what's so sad, right? On their end, and it's so sad that they have people who are willing to, like, yeah, I'm willing to die right now. But on our end, it's more so, and not to diminish us, but it becomes, and not to promote anything like that, but it's so sad to see that they will really help them assassinate you and like walk up on you and shoot you 100 times. You know what I mean? It's so sad to where it's like we hate each other to the point like, you know, and I'm a product of that hate.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a product of that. I'm not saying I'm better than them. I'm a product of that. I remember a time when I was in Arizona, right? And you know, I'm so shot out, right? I'm so crazy because what bothered me so much was I wanted our own people to know, like, I do not like how y'all conducting yourselves.
Mm.
You feel what I'm saying? I don't like that. I don't like that. I hate it and I can't stand it. You know, next time we talk, I want you to remember this.
Mm-hmm.
Ask me what I did in Arizona. The like, and I remember this like, and I know my reasons for doing it, but nobody else knew me why I did it. You feel
Mm.
what I'm saying? They thought like he crazy. But when you ask me next time me and you talk,
Yeah.
and I want you to ask me, bro, what did you do in
Mm.
Arizona?
Word.
You know what I mean? That was just so detrimental to my mental state. It bothered me so much
Mm.
to even do it. But I wanted them to, because if I'd have did it on the East Coast, I'm like, man, what? Like, you feel what I'm saying? But I was on the West Coast, where it's like over there, it's like if it's one black person, they treat us like we two. They put 20, 30 white boys on the tier, 35 Mexicans on the tier, and 7 blacks.
Mm.
and
Damn.
I asked the chick that one day, I said, yo, why is there only like 7, 8 of us? You don't even let no more than 10 of us get on the tier. She said, no, y'all are naturally aggressive.
Mm,
She said, y'all are naturally aggressive. We treat y'all like y'all are two people because for whatever reason. I said, but how we two people amongst 35 people? That makes no sense.
mm,
It's no way we could beat 35, 40 people by ourselves. She said, no, it's not about them, you beating them. It's about them being in fear of you. The fear is installed in them too.
mm,
This was this lady told me, a counselor, a white lady.
mm.
We sitting there talking. I had just really came out there. So they trying to figure out what to do with me. They don't know what to do. So when they put me on the yard, because they locked me down for 3 months. So when they put me on the yard and I seen it, and she ended up coming back, calling me back out. And I'm trying to understand, like, yo, it's only like 6 of us on the tier, and it's fucking 40 Mexicans, fucking 30 white boys, and they alarmed.
So you were in federal custody?
No, I'm in Arizona State Prison.
Oh, so they swapped state?
They swapped the states. When I got kicked out of Jersey, they swapped prisoners to go to Jersey, and I got kicked to Arizona.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. So Arizona, but they didn't send. Only thing they sent from Arizona to Arizona was bullshit paperwork. You know what I mean? That shit was bullshit. So Arizona was looking at it like, well, damn, because they pay attention to shot stabbings and all that nonsense. Your case maybe or whatever. They didn't have none of that on me. I
Mm,
just was getting blamed for shit.
yeah.
So they didn't have all of the paperwork that they're used to, accustomed to swapping prisoners. They just had prisoners who stabbed, did all that nonsense. They need to go. So like, yeah, let me take him. Like, let me just get this person out of here. We're gonna take that one. So they accepted, but when I got there, they like, this is not the criteria that to get a person shipped out of state.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? So what is it about you? So first thing they did was lock me down. I got locked down for 3 months. I was on the first. They had me on the tier where was all Mexicans. I got on the tier was all Mexicans. The brothers was on the other side. You know what I mean? And so when I got there, the Mexican dude was like, "Yo, your people over there." That's what he said to me. Your people over there.
mm. Like, I don't know these motherfuckers. I'm from Jersey.
Nobody.
I'm from Jersey. You got me mixed up.
I said, "My people? What are you talking about?"
You got me mixed up.
He like, "Nah, a brother over there, a black brother over there." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He like, "Bro, it's about your race." So that woke me up. The Mexican guy tell me he down OG dude, he downstairs. He locked down. You know what I mean? So I'm like, my people. I'm like, oh, all right. And turned out the brother that was on the other side, he a goon. You know what I mean? He was a blood. He was on it. He was on it. You know what I mean? Like they respect him. So he Mexican called over there to him. He talking in Spanish. So they start talking to black. So black like, yo, what up, blood? You feel what I'm saying? Yo, what up, bro? So he come outside. They had a like they had your rec area was like your cell. When you go to rec, that's how your rec area was.
Yeah,
You can't. The only thing you see is the sky.
man.
All that talking to people between the gates and all that nonsense. No,
Damn.
you know what I mean. It was called SMU, Special Management Unit.
Mm.
I came straight from MCU,
Like the game, you know.
management, you know what I mean? Management Control Unit. Now I left the game when they jumped me and went to MCU, and from MCU they shipped me out to SMU. You know what I mean? They put me straight in SMU off the muscle. As soon as I got to Arizona, I went straight to SMU. You know what I mean? That's a level 5 out there in Arizona. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to understand what's going on. I need to pay attention. What we doing out here? You know what I mean? So when bro came outside, and me and him talking, I'm like, yo, bro, what's going on? He like, nah, bro, it's about the race shit. I said, but is it really on our end? Are we beefing with each other? You got Bloods, Crips out here. I know y'all right next to Cali. So I know it's Bloods and Crips out here. He like, yeah, I'm a blood, bro. He like, but listen, little bro. Um, it's about our race. It's us against them type attitude. They don't like us. They never liked us.
Mm.
I said, but my question to you is, do we like each other?
Word.
That's my question to you. When we talking through it's a little grate that's on the bottom. Like, it's on the bottom, right? All the way on the bottom. You can talk from one side to the next. You know what I mean? It's a little grate. And he explaining things to me. You feel what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
He explained things to me. So, you know, I'm like, oh, he like, yeah, bro, it's Bloods and Crips out here. We be beefing, going through what we do, but when shit happens, we all try to stick together. I said, but see, that's the problem. I I said, that's the problem. We can never have a beef when we already got another beef.
Mm-hmm.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if that's your enemy too, then that makes you automatically my friend.
You know, I was similar to the question I was asking Slugs in the beginning. When I was saying, all right, I understand the Latin Kings are enemies. I said, but in the future, there's no Crips. So these other black people are enemy as well. They don't even exist right now. He
You
cannot
know,
answer that
when we
question.
first did what we did, bro.
I said, they don't even exist. I said, bro, is these black people going to be our enemy? Over the Aryan Nation, over the skinheads. Like I was out there in Arizona some motherfucker with. I said, I get the Latin Kings. We don't fucking like them. They don't like us. But what about these other rap beats? I said, because I said, from my knowledge, Blood's arch rivals is the Crips. I said, there's
Fact,
no Crips. They don't exist. So I'm
fact.
looking in future. I'm looking into the future, like, you know what I mean, down
I
the line.
always, I always, I always was like, damn, I wish my brother would have came and said something to me. I didn't know. You know, you was more conscious than me.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I had
We ain't even
no
get a
clue.
fucking chance, man. Like,
We never
that shit was crazy. The motherfucking land came. I'm like, yo, what? Hey, these niggas tripping. He was telling us the shit, but I ain't know how serious them niggas was.
He never told me. He only told me after the picture got looked at. You know what I mean? But prior to that, we never had a conversation to who was our enemies, our ops, or whatever the case may be.
But this
He
crazy
never said
part,
it.
I saw pictures us throwing up the west side and with bandanas before he even got there.
That's
He
crazy.
was off our Tupac shit. They pulled the
Wow.
pictures back up and they used the pictures I had.
Yeah, I know. I went to the gang unit for that.
Yeah, I'm like, yo, that's before. I told the motherfuckers, I went to the gang unit for that.
I know.
I said, motherfucker, that's what I said. There was no bloods during this area.
Word
Look at this
up.
picture date.
Word up. Word up.
You know what I
Like
mean? And
they
then
locked
again in
me
the
up
gang
literally
unit, they gonna
because they
say, and then
locked
in
me
the
up.
gang unit, they gonna say that they allies. I said, allies my ass.
Bro, they literally locked me up because of you throwing up the West Side sign.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, that's not what that is. That's my brother. That's not what that means. Who are you talking about? Because I got rid of everything. I got rid of everything because they were saying they locking us up. It was January 1st, 2000. They like, yo, they put the Bloods and the Crips on the gang unit list. So they locking up all Bloods and Crips. So I'm like,
No,
shit.
that was Latin Kings and 5%ers.
No, the 5%ers was already on there. They was already smashing the 5%ers.
Yeah, the
It was
STG.
already done up. STG wise, it was January 1st. I'm telling you, bro. I remember this shit, bro. Cause I went to gang unit January 7th.
You came home from the gang unit, right?
Yeah,
That's what they told me. They said you just left. I thought I came
yeah.
down there in 2001.
Mm-hmm. Remember I told you I just left from Trenton. I didn't leave from the gang unit. They kicked me
But
out the
now
gang
I
unit.
gets in there, right? They gonna say that the Latin Kings is our allies. I said, what? Are you shitting me? I said, so you telling me I got my motherfucking skull almost cracked? You telling me these motherfuckers are allies? So you telling me that y'all was gang banging on the basis of a fucking lie?
Come on, make it make sense, bro.
On the basis of a
Come
fucking
on,
lie,
bro.
bro. I
Come on,
said,
bro. I
hell
almost, I
no.
almost, I almost caught the dude who had the lock. I caught him. We was out in the gang
Oh, the
unit at the
young
same
boy,
time. Yeah,
little
we was out
skinny
at the
nigga.
same time. Yeah,
Yeah,
remember
no,
they went.
so the nigga half pint was in there.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's the
But
little nigga. That ain't the
that's
one that had the lie. I think it's the skinny. He made the skinny.
oh no, I caught the nigga
High
half
Point
point.
gave the
I caught half
orders.
point.
He gave the
I caught
orders.
half point. I caught half point.
Nah, he the
I
one
caught half.
gave the orders. He ain't hardly even do.
Oh,
He a
but
bitch.
see, that's the one. That's the one when the riot happened that I was looking for. You know what I
He
mean?
gave the orders.
Yeah, whoever did it, I had no idea. I thought he personally did it.
Nah,
That was the impression that I got.
yeah, he
You
gave
feel
the
what I'm
orders.
saying?
He might
So
have. Then again, I don't know. I was asleep, but I saw the little nigga with the swinging the lock. I charged him with the iron.
me and Half Pint was out one day, and you know how they be liking the bullshit. They open the doors. I think. See, I was ignorant. I was ignorant, admittedly, that shit that transpired then they was trying us. You know what I mean? Because you know they opened the door one day on a motherfucker who called himself a skinhead, and I popped him. You feel what I'm saying? Like in the gang room, they opened the door because you know they had like two skinheads. They had two doors. You feel what I'm saying? They had two doors. So one day, my door ended up just busting out of nowhere. Like we shower time. Like they didn't even get around to us. So my door ended up popping open. I'm like, huh, what's going on? So little bro, like he jump out the bed too. We both jump up. You know, we on like we on security off the
Right.
muscle. Like you open up, like fuck going on. So I'm looking at the door. I'm like, so I look over, scared door open. I'm like, oh, I tell bro, hey bro, scared door open. You know what I mean, she open right over there. He like, word, bro, what's up? I'm like, man, I'm about to go over there, nigga. Fuck it. I'm slide over there. Fuck you talking about? He like, bro, you tripping? I said, nah, I'm about to slide over there, bro. I grabbed my little shoes, you know what I mean? So I'm like, oh, so I'm looking around and shit. You know, I'm on my bullshit. I'm looking around like, I'm thinking they about to close this door, you know what I mean? So I'm like, man, fuck that, I'm doing too much, you know what I mean? I slid out. So now I'm sliding out. I'm trying to haul ass over to, because they had the front by the showers. You know what I mean? They had the front two cells by the shower. So I done slid out, boom, come around that motherfucker. I'm hauling ass, trying to get to the nigga before they close this door. You know what I mean? I'm coming out. Boom. This how they so fucked up. That's why I always was aware. They so fucked up. They watch me on camera, bro. I slid around that motherfucker. When I came in the motherfucking room, he jumped like he was shaving in the mirror. He was shaving. He like, oh, got right on him. Dumbass, stupid. Stupid motherfucker. Fuck you talking about? Bitch ass nigga. Like I'm on my bullshit. Like he all on the floor, I'm stomping him and shit. Fuck out of here. I'm like, oh shit, I'm bugging. So I done slid out, boom, and jumped, ran right back in my cell and locked back in and shit. Bro, they closed my door once I slid in my cell, bro. On life, bro. Never got a shot, never got in trouble or nothing, bro. They closed my door, bro. I dogged that boy in there.
Mm.
I dogged him. He in the shaving in there. He in the mirror like, no, you playing. They'll bust my door. I wasn't putting in work for no police.
Word.
I was putting in work for our people.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I know I paid attention to how they separated the cells.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Two skinheads, black kings, Crips was upstairs, you know what I mean? And everything else was Bloods.
Crips, they had Crips in there?
Yeah, hell yeah. They started locking the Crips up. Crips, see, the problem came with people didn't understand was that once the Bloods hits, Crips coming after. Once the Crips hit, Bloods coming after. That's just what's gonna happen.
Mm.
It's like no matter what state it is, no matter where you at, whatever hit first blows up first. You feel what I'm saying? Whatever hits second, you know
Because
what I
I
mean?
start to believe that one can't exist without the other. I said, if your life is
That's what's
based
going on.
upon the rivalry of them, then you don't have a
Bro,
real fucking
that's what's
life.
going
I
on,
said,
bro.
so what happens after when all of them die?
That's what's
So
going
you no
on, bro.
longer blood?
No, it's not even that, bro. It's more so to where we won't let ourselves die. Even if you think back to slavery, we won't let ourselves die. You know what I
No,
mean? Because
but
we're going to keep coming. So
the,
what happens is with the gang mentality, it's like, oh, because you got a Crip homie that's cool with a blood homie. Hey, yo, my people's over in motherfucking in Jersey. You know what I mean? Like, bro, like the Crips out there, bro. Like, oh yeah? Oh shit. The blood homie, like, oh what? Alright. So now like, bro, we gotta go to Jersey, bro. We gotta get somebody out in Jersey, bro. Crips out there, bro. We gotta go out there. And that's what happened. Charles Sanding. Like, that's what happens, bro. You know what I mean? I studied the gang culture to where I'm damn near a psychologist, bro.
mm,
I studied gang culture. You know what I mean? Big homies, little homies, everything. Like they got the new mantra, they got everything that, you know, sometimes I'll be missing things, but I understand mindset, mentality. So, yeah, back then, like, we outnumbered them. Because once it hit New York, that shit exploded. It exploded like a fucking volcano. It exploded. Bloods, 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 bloods.
spread like wildfire.
Knowing that they outnumbered, immediately Crips hit that. Because what happened is Bloods turned people into Crips. Because the people that you're oppressing and the things that you're doing and stuff like that make me
I say
automatically.
it's like conditions create, like Conditions create,
You know, because a
outcomes.
lot of people that back then, no bullshit, bro. A lot of people back then wanted to be blood, but the bloods was storing, doing whatever they was doing, whatever, street shit, whatever. But so now what you did was let me find out who their enemy is. And that's what happened in North. A lot of the guys that turned Crip was supposed to be Bloods. They wanted to be Bloods, but Bloods was like, man, fuck out of here. And they was pressing them, doing their bullshit or whatever, fine, whatever. And now they became Crips. So what happened is the roles were reversed. In Cali, everybody wanted to be Crip because they outnumber. It's like the cool thing to be. But on the East Coast, Blood was the cool thing to be. You go to certain states, you got Crips, the cool. In
Nah,
Arizona,
because
everybody.
all these neighborhoods was that, right? So you
I'm
become a
trying to tell you,
product
it
of
was
your
numbers.
environment. It's
Yeah,
not that they
it was about
wanted
the
to,
environment.
is they had no choice.
It was numbers. It was numbers. But what happens is, even though you have numbers, you're still gonna have people gonna push against them numbers. So even though you be fucking 30,000 deep, it's motherfuckers that's gonna be like, we only 15,000, but we gonna push against your ass. Feel what I'm saying? Because them 30,000, out of them 30,000, only like 10,000 y'all really own that. You know what I mean?
So no,
Like,
I'm saying so maybe these areas was neutral areas and then became gang territory.
yes,
So
that's what
like
happened.
the guys like because you figure most of the gang
But it
sets
comes
is
from an
Cali.
action that came from say you had a neutral area, bro. So say you had a neutral area. So say Crip homie slid through. Like, man, it's about to be hours and that third. We're like, man, you bugging, man. We ain't know none of that. And you keep pressing them. Automatically, you're gonna be like, man, I'm about to fuck with the Bloods. Them niggas bugging. Niggas don't want to give me money. I'm about to fuck with the Bloods. That's what happened. We have, inside of us, we have alpha male syndrome and so much pride for shit that don't even matter. You feel what I'm saying, bro? And I had to really understand that we have an alpha male syndrome for shit that don't even matter. We will become a beta male and a fucking zeta male for shit that about your life. A motherfucker won't even get on the stand and lie for you. They won't even do that. Lil Kim did that and did time for it. They know her album should have went through the roof. That's when I knew the streets was fucked up.
Mm.
That's when I seen what happened with Lil Kim.
What she got?
Remember what happened when they had her on camera with these guys, her guys that she was dealing with, whatever case may be, and the feds asked her, "Do you know them?" She's like, "I don't know none of them. I don't know none of them. I don't know who the fuck you talking about." They got her on camera hanging with them. She's like, "I don't know who the fuck they is. You bugging." That's how she went to jail for
Mm.
perjury.
Mm.
She lied to the FBI. You know what I mean? That's why Lil Kim went to jail for lying to the FBI. And they locked her up and gave her time. Her album did so little,
So that's
bro.
what like yeah, word,
You know what I mean? I literally in prison went and bought her album.
word.
That was baby. Then she started doing that bullshit, but that was baby. Like, yeah. But I was, we popped out. You know what I mean? But the fact that she did that, I'm gonna get that. Cause I was Foxy Browned out.
Mm.
Like I'm like honestly, like Foxy was baby.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like Foxy was baby. And she was fucking with Bro Fatal, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, Foxy baby, you know what I mean? But when I seen her doing that, Brooklyn, you know what I mean? Brooklyn like the bricks, you feel what I'm saying? So I just was more so like, if nobody go blow her album up, this shit fucked up. She the one who started the stop snitching movement. Remember they had the little stop snitch shit? That came from Lil Kim shit.
Mm.
Came from Lil Kim. Lil Kim did that.
Word.
Lil Kim did that. And if you tough street people, man, this shit, they don't care. So stop making it about the streets. Make it about you trying to be better. Because the streets don't give a fuck about you.
Fuck no.
They don't give a fuck about you. Every song I listen to, like, man, I got betrayed, this, that, and the third. They don't care. Want better. You're gonna always have hate. No matter how good you do, no matter what you're doing. Like right now, you could be a multi-millionaire and giving millions out to people you're gonna have another person over here who got his millions mad at you for doing it.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing you could do to stop hate.
The hate produced. Thug life.
Just do what you do.
Uh, well, we get
Yo, we good. We good. It's the right time. I got my brother on here like, nah, cause I'm like, he like, yeah, that's the first time I was able to get him. He done got me many times. Yes.
that.
I'm trying to post this tomorrow.
Yes.
Yeah, this is going out tomorrow.
Word, man. To all the
Yeah.
listeners, man, Cast the First Stone is coming, man. Coming for you.
We're not playing with nobody.
Raw, uncut, unfiltered, not scripted. You know, ain't no script.
Yeah, we just talking, man. Like,
Real life
yeah,
stories,
I'm gonna let
man.
my brother talk. Yeah, bro, tell him what's going on, bro.
Real
Tell
life
him.
stories, man. Unscripted, man. You know, ghetto bastards. Word. Raised up in these concrete jungles trying to, you know,
The
live,
road,
live
the roads that
grew
came
from
from the concrete.
concrete. That's right.
Grew from
The roads
concrete.
that grew from concrete. Grew
Yeah,
up on these concrete jungles against the
that
odds.
really did that too. We really did that.
Against the odds, man. We lost so many, man, to the struggle, man, to this
Uh,
nonsense that we talking about, man. Trying to rise above that, get the young bros to rise above that, man. The object is to live, to win. You know what I mean? To be
facts,
able to see your grandkids. You know.
facts. And like that's the whole point about life. So to end this off, to my brother Sharif, I love you with every core of me.
That's right.
You know what I mean? With every core of me. Rest in peace to my niece and I. Like every core of me.
Word. Love that
Free
brother
belly.
back.
You know what I mean?
Word.
Like, yo,
Free Machiavelli.
everything that I do is to make sure that my brother, when he see his brother, he see his brother.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
real, bro. Like, everything that I do, I want to be able to look at my brother and be like, my brother see his brother.
that's right. And I see
You
you.
know
And I see you, brother. I see your growth. You know what I mean? I'm proud of you. You know what I mean? Your growth on a million. Like next level shit. You know what I mean?
what
You really living up to that Sankofa. Because you know that other guy, man, a lot of people, man, would be real disappointed in this world. The outcomes wouldn't be the same, you know.
Fact,
But it's that
fact,
growth and development, man.
fact, fact.
So,
You know, I got an interview coming with him. It's gonna be Sankofa talking to Killer Reed.
or
It's
like,
coming.
or like we did before.
Yeah, it's coming.
Yeah,
It's gonna be crazy though, cause it's gonna be like film type shit, like this split screen type shit. It's gonna be crazy.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm working on that. You know what I mean? I just believe that you know, like I had like 7 personalities in my head. You know what I mean?
yeah.
For a long time, and it was more so not to be seeming like crazy and all that. It was just more so to check me
Hmm.
and keep me in line. You had ones in my head that was like, "Yo, no, we ain't on that. No." Like then you had ones in your head, nah, fuck that, no, we ain't on that. And then you had the like, well, Killer Reek, right? This is what they did to Killer Reek. I'm gonna wait for that. I'm gonna tell you what they did.
Uh-huh. Word,
I'm wait for that. I'm wait for that. It's a whole nother topic. Yeah, yeah. Your turn next time. You know what I mean? My brother gonna be on here. We outside. You know what
word.
I mean?
We out, man. Catch the first stone, man.
We're gonna catch the first stone, man. If you don't like real, you ain't gonna never like us.
Word,
Yeah. Well, let he without sin cast the first stone.
word.
The whole town left.
That's right.
To
Couldn't
my
find
niece,
one.
may she rest in peace. Know that she's loved.
Nah,
That-
Mahaya Amenhotep. Shay.
That's right. We love you.
Love
I
you,
want my
dog.
hug, man. These bitch ass man, they crazy.
Word.
But okay, fine.
Yes, sir.
Love you, my brother.
Salute. Love you, bro.
Hold up, bro. We gotta get out at the same time, bro. I'm gonna
All
leave at the
right.
same time. You ready?
Yeah.
All right, I love you, bro.
Know you
Black
know
power.
Black Power. Black
Black
Power.
power. We out here. Peace, bro. All
Please.
right.